Hello, everybody, and welcome to Whiz, your family-friendly podcast where we discuss D&D Onslaught, Dice Masters, HeroClix, and the other entertaining games made by WizKids. I'm WizDad, your alternate win condition. I will be your guide for navigating the competitive and casual scenes of the WizKids Triforce of gaming. It is Dice Master Monday, so I hope you have prepped your dice, because I'm here to field any questions you may have about Dice Masters. Let's hop into the WizKids Progress Report.
Kowalski, Progress Report.
Congratulations to Ben Said Scott for winning the Dice Masters World Championship at GenCon 2023. Ben played a Master Mold team. The cards or dice on his team was the Molecule Man, Megalomaniac, Mystique, She Walks Among Us, Mr. Fantastic Brainbox, Wolverine, Your Play, Hero, Lilandra, Majestrix, Mr. Sinister, Dark Experimentation, obviously Master Mold, and then Dark Phoenix, Enemy of the Shi'ar. That could be found on DM North if you're curious about the team. Essentially, it is a very, very effective Master Mold machine. It has a lot of prep by the Wolverine and the Dark Phoenix. Uses Molecule Man, Mr. Sinister, Mystique, and kind of your usual cases. For action cards, the Villainous Pact basic action card, and the Slinger's basic action card. So once again, congratulations to Ben Said Scott for winning the 2023 World Championship for Dice Masters at GenCon 2023. I've said 2023 a few times now. Everyone gets it. So for Dice Masters at GenCon, it really was kind of just the World Championship. As far as the fan appreciation event goes, if you went to the WizKids fan appreciation event for Dice Masters, unfortunately you would be you would probably just be disappointed. There was no news, no slides, no nothing about Dice Masters. As I mentioned in previous episodes, they had a technical difficulty that opened the door to Q&A sessions with Jake, the VP of WizKids. And so a few questions were asked. I asked one of them about Dice Masters and why Dice Masters wasn't at Worlds, at WizKids Worlds in Memphis. Just seemed odd that there was just no Dice Master presence whatsoever. Even if WizKids intended to have Worlds, the World Championship at GenCon, which is perfectly acceptable, seems a little odd that there's just not even any side events, not even like a draft format, a rainbow draft. There was just nothing planned for Memphis. Very, very odd. They did mention in the Jake mentioned in the Q&A that they're really looking at Dice Masters. I think they mentioned that they're not dropping it, like they're not just ending the game, like ending support. I feel like I remember him saying that. It's more along the lines of they're trying to figure out how to really market it and how they want to move it going forward, which, I don't know, any marketing I think at this point would be better than no marketing. Because I mentioned this on previous episodes. If you look at a draft pack for Secret Wars, it is by far one of the best made packs you can find. You get 20 dice in it. You get a lot of best bang for your buck. They did a complete redesign of the cards. It's like they got everything ready for a relaunch and just haven't relaunched. I know one person asked about when the only set we know of coming up, House of X, is coming out, and they didn't really have anything to add. They said if it's on the solicits, it's coming. So there's a little bit of concern there about what is going to happen. My hope is, and honestly, if I was offering my father advice to WizKids as WizDad, I would say, listen, you're leaving Dice Master fans out in the lurch a little bit. At this next fan appreciation at Worlds, let's make sure we at least put a slide in that has House of X information. So if we know, even if they don't have a set month because they don't know, let's at least put something in there. Winter 2023, it could be a little vague. Put in a couple sneak peeks, a card or two, just to kind of get the fan base excited, because that's really the only set. Even if they don't have a future set lined up, they should have something. Pretty simple enough. I've also thought about the idea of bounce this around on the Discord because once again I'm new to Dice Masters. I've played it years and years ago a little bit, and now I'm kind of reintroduced myself to the game. Tried to do the idea of, well, what we have legacy cards in HeroClix. What about kind of legacy cards in Dice Masters? Because I know they reintroduced, they use some old cards and they kind of do them again, and old dice, and say, hey, we'll use this effect and it'll come back in a later set. So if they need something in the interim, or they need something for prizing besides, beautiful looking cards like the Hellfire Gala cards, I think they could probably pass by OP kits by just having some of these legacy cards and just say, hey, you remember this figure from Justice League? You remember this one from AVX? Here you go. Here's a card. This effect hasn't been seen in a while. It's been updated to follow new rules. There's a lot that WizKids could do in the interim to keep the game going until they make an ultimate decision on here's the path we want to go with Dice Masters. Because I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Dice Masters is in a very unusual game in a good way. There's not a lot of other games that work inherently like it, and people love dice. So it is definitely a game that should continue to grow, continue to be played, because they have a very strong community online that are devoted and have been used to not necessarily being ignored, but used to getting whatever scraps they can get at the table. And you know what? I feel like they still deserve to have scraps instead of not being invited to the table at all. But really, that's all I have for the news for Dice Masters and the progress report. What we're going to talk about in the Fishing with WizDad segment is I'm going to go over my experience at Worlds, because I did play in the World Championship. I'll go over my team, and we'll discuss how I did and what I thought of my team.
Get your gear, little man. We're going fishing. And I mean now.
So, as I've alluded to in other episodes, my intent of GenCon 2023 was to participate in what I call the Try WizKids tournament, playing in Onslaught, HeroClix, and Dice Masters. The lovely Jocelyn and Kim from Double Double Dice podcast were super helpful in helping me learn, teaching me, essentially, that's the word, teaching me how to play the game again, how current teams go, what to expect, what not to expect, because the game is definitely a much different game than when I played a little bit back in AVX years and years ago. So when I started playing again, Jocelyn helped me with learning what cards I had. I had purchased a couple packs, like 4 or 5 packs of Secret Wars when I was in Florida back in May when I went on a family trip. And I had also purchased online on Amazon a whole display which was 8 draft packs of Dark Phoenix. So that was really all I was working with at the time. So I was playing kind of a Common Colossus team, just playing that just to familiarize myself. And it was okay. I had a lot of prep with, I had Wolverine Dark Phoenix, right? The go-to preps. And I was really getting used to how the game works, how you're getting more dice in your hands to roll per turn. Very, very informative, very, very useful to learn the game again. Then I played Kim. She kind of hopped on. She played her Fantastic Four Black Panther team, the alternate win condition, the Black Panther, where when Black Panther is active, it's a super rare from Secret Wars. When Black Panther is active, if you attack with 6 or more different Fantastic Four characters, you win the game. And so I played my Colossus mishmash team. It wasn't the best against her, and she crushed me, obviously. But she crushed me by not even doing that win condition. She just crushed me by playing Fantastic Four, which was also great. And so having gotten crushed by Kim, by the Fantastic Four team, I instantly kind of fell in love with the team, because I also like alternate win conditions. So from that point forward, I had it in my head I was going to play a similar team. I really wanted to try Fantastic Four. I wanted to try that alternative win condition, alternate win condition. So after some more mental gymnastics on my side, Jocelyn was nice enough to lend me the pieces, and so the team I played at Worlds was Super Rare Black Panther, Resisting Doom, the Uncommon Thing, The Shield, Common Invisible Woman, also Dr. Richards, Common Namor, King of the Deep, the Super Rare Mr. Fantastic, Rebuilding Everything, Molecule Man, Dinosaur Colorado, which was the rare, Corvus Glaive, the Black Order, which was common, and then Drax, the Pacifist, which was the rare. And then my two basic actions were Distraction and Counter-Strike. So the concept around the team was trying to get to my win condition, which is get Black Panther out there after I had fielded the other 5 Fantastic Four pieces. Ideally, I would try to get Thing out there as soon as possible, because Thing's ability is when Thing is active, your opponent can't target your other character dice. Awesome. He's definitely the shield, which works with his name. I did not have nearly as much practice as I should have. That you could say that was the case for all of my games at GenCon. I did not have nearly as much practice. But effectively, I had the 6 Fantastic Four, and then my other 2 dice was Corvus Glaive, which I'm sure you all know. When fielded, KO a character die you control. If you do, the next die you purchase this turn costs 2 less. So Corvus, he could do that to himself. So Corvus is very much like he's your die purchaser, and with Fantastic Four being okay priced, like Black Panther's a 4 cost, Thing is a 5, Molecule Man is a 4. Really, the only 2 I have is Invisible Woman. He really did come in handy. Now, I ran into a lot of bad luck with Corvus. I did not get to field him in certain games nearly as much as I wanted to. He was a little stubborn. And then Drax the Pacifist is there purely for Master Mold. His effect, for those listening, when fielded, choose an opposing card, canceling all previous choices. Your opponent may not purchase or field that character until Drax leaves the field zone. So you try to get him, if you're going against Master Mold, going against some of these other heavy hitters that rely on 1 or 2 die, you put out Drax, he chills out there, and he says you can't field Master Mold. And so they have to spend a couple turns trying to get rid of your Drax, which isn't that hard, but it at least buys you some time. What I found playing this team, I knew going into it, the Thing was very important. Molecule Man was also very important. Molecule Man when Molecule Man is active, your opponent must pay 2 energy to block each of your Fantastic Four character dice. So he is very much, you put out Thing, you put out him, and they're gonna be hurting. They won't be able to kind of block you when the time comes. What I did not expect, and I loved it, is how amazing Invisible Woman is for a 2 cost, because she also does not cost anything to field. All of hers are 0 field cost. Invisible Woman gets +1 attack for each of your other active Fantastic Four character dice. So I found myself a lot of the times fielding multiple Invisible Women, just because that was strong. The game, while you ideally want to get Black Panther out there and alternatively win, if you will, you could definitely win just by fielding Invisible Woman and some of the other pieces. She just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Add that with Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic, when fielded, roll a die from your bag for each of your active Fantastic Four character dice. So I typically add 2 to 3 Invisible Women out there, maybe a Thing. I would play Mr. Fantastic, and there you go. I've got 4 more dice to roll. So he is really a key, like the linchpin in this, to get Black Panther out and to get all the rest of the pieces. The weakest link on here is definitely Namor. Unfortunately, you have to play Namor because he's the only... he is one of the 6 Fantastic Four dice that exist currently. So yeah, I did not play the team very effectively. No, I will give myself a little credit. I went 1-3. My 1 win was an alternate win condition. I played Craig at round 1, and I actually pulled it off. I was told that was the first time it happened at a major tournament, so yeah, little cheer sounds, please. I did it, and then I promptly went 0-3. There were a couple games, I will say, that I did come close to. My second game, I got demolished. I played against a Master Mold team, and it was not even close. It was very, very bad. I will say though, I survived that version, or at least that round, a lot longer. I played a Vetris. I only survived that round as long as I did because his Master Mold did not cooperate at all. He rolled, and I got at least like 3 extra rounds out of that because Master Mold did not come to play, which is part of the game, right? That's part of why Dice Masters is so much fun, is because everyone has to deal with the roll of the dice. It's not one where, with HeroClix, you try to mitigate the dice as much as possible. Onslaught, honestly, the dice rolls somewhat matter, but because you're rolling 2d20s, that doesn't, you have a good probability of hitting a majority of the time. HeroClix, you try to use Perplex, you try to mitigate the luck. Dice Masters, it's all dice rolling. So it's not all luck. You have options on what to do based off of what you roll, but it's definitely you go into it knowing that you cannot fully erase the luck factor of it. And I like that. There are certain games like that like Dice Masters, that's okay. That's very, very entertaining. So I went 0-1 against a Master Mold. Sad day. Then my third match was... Who was it? Hold on just a second. It was against another Fantastic Four, funny enough. I'm blanking on the name. I'll think of it here in just a moment. Oh, it's Lucan. I went against Lucan. He was playing Fantastic Four. He was not doing the alternative win condition. He was playing just strong Fantastic Four. So it was kind of a mirror match to a degree. We had we both were kind of a arms race to get not Master Mold, that would be nice, to get Molecule Man out there as soon as possible. Because that was ultimately going to prevent your opponent from attacking. Having to pay 2 energy, that's a high cost to be able to block. And so he was definitely ramping up with a lot of attackers with Fantastic Four, which is what I discovered was the benefit of the team, is being able to throw all of that out there. I was close to winning a certain time, 1 or 2 times. I had it where, if I remember correctly, he was at 15 and I could deal him 14. Or I could deal him 13. I was off by 1 or 2 to where I needed just like one more attack and I could have finished it. But ultimately he won, which was kudos to him. It was definitely a fun match. And then for my final match, I believe I played Ian. They played Starro. I know there was Starro, there was Black Widow. It was definitely a cool ramp team where they take over your own sidekicks. They put out a bunch of sidekicks and kind of make your own sidekicks attack you. So ultimately, I lost that one. I can't, like I said, I went 1-3. But my key thing is I wanted to try. My goal for the whole weekend, or my goal for Dice Masters specifically, was to, one, try to get to alternate win condition with Black Panther, which I did the first round. So I did not care how I did the rest of the tournament. This was my first time playing Dice Masters competitively. I have played it, like I said, played it locally or played it with some friends, but this is my first actual competitive, constructive Dice Masters, so my expectations were pretty low. So to get that one win with Black Panther was, it was fantastic. I couldn't have been happier. I was happy to go on and get more experience, and I can't wait to play again. I want to join some of the online tournaments. I need to get my hands, because once again I borrowed a decent amount of the team from Jocelyn. I did not have a Black Panther, I didn't have a Drax and whatnot, so I need to pick those up so that way I can keep trying the team, because I really also liked the fact that if I couldn't get the Black Panther win condition off, there was enough firepower in the team to be able to deal damage and win normally. Normal, just take out your opponent. The downside to the team, obviously, is that it has no prep, so it doesn't. It relies on your opponent to have enough prep for your team to work. I have options. It's not great. I mean, Corvus can kind of get my team out there, but when I played someone that had prep, the team obviously worked a lot better. It's not necessarily the best version of the team. If Master Mole goes away, then maybe I don't have to play Drax and I can play my own prep. Or if we ever get House, I doubt House of X has any Fantastic Four people in it, now that I think about that. But either way, if you're thinking about getting Dice Masters, listen, I picked it up again. It did not take me that long. I had wonderful teachers. That helps a lot. But definitely, if you're thinking about playing it, there's a big online community on Discord. They have their own Discord channel. They do tournaments, I believe, weekly, if not bi-weekly. And so it's definitely something you should hop into. It's very much a game that caters well to online play. Because with HeroClix, right, with online, you interact with your opponent's pieces a lot more. Dice Masters, you're kind of just centered on yourself. You don't directly interact with your opponent. So you can just have the screen, the camera showing your board, your play area, and they have their own. So definitely give it a shot. I know I will be trying to continue and play online. And if you're going to Worlds this year, feel free to reach out and see if we could play some Dice Masters. I know on the DL, we're trying to see if we can get some sort of play going with any of the Dice Masters that'll be there at Worlds, whether it be a draft of some sort. TBD on that. But basically, I'm trying to help lead the charge of having some sort of tournament, some sort of draft happen at Worlds, because it just seems silly that WizKids has HeroClix. Well, it's not silly they have a HeroClix. It's great that they have such a big HeroClix presence. It's great that Onslaught is there. Seems silly that Dice Master still is not there in some form, a draft or whatever. And so yeah, I'm hoping we can get some dice rolling there at Worlds. But once again, that's something for maybe next week's episode. Speaking of next week's episode, what I'm hoping to talk about is look into some of the other teams that played at Worlds, kind of talk about how they worked, maybe explore different options of what I would like to play next. I'm just now really dipping my toes into the competitive side of Dice Masters, and it's thrilling, and I hope you all will join me for this journey. So that is going to do it for this episode of Whiz. I appreciate you guys for listening. This was Dice Master Mondays, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday where we talk more Onslaught. So have a great day.